Welcome to this episode of Superhero Podcast. My name is Simo Suoheimo, and today we have a very special guest here on the podcast and the live video that we're right now doing. I'm joined on the show by Minttu Tuominen, hockey player and an overall super inspiring figure. Welcome to the show, Minttu.
Thank you.
How do you usually introduce yourself when people ask you what you do?
I just say my name is Minttu, and I'm a 26-year-old ice hockey player from Finland. And that's pretty much it.
And during the last 2 weeks, you've been through the grinder, to say the least, and it's been a pretty amazing journey. You just came back from the U.S. Can you share with the audience what's been happening in your life? I assume that the last 2 weeks haven't been the ordinary ones for you.
Yeah, absolutely. For the past 2 weeks, we were in Plymouth, Detroit, and played for the Ice Hockey World Championships. And we ended up winning bronze medal, which was my third overall. But what was more historical was that we beat Canada, which was we were the second country to ever beat Canada, and the first one was the U.S. So that was just amazing experience, and I think we'll build on that next year.
That's amazing. So you guys really did make some hockey history right there.
Yeah.
That's incredible, and I can only imagine what the thoughts and the feelings must have been like when you were preparing for that game and having the knowledge that this might happen. What was going through your head at that time?
Well, actually, we've been pretty close about beating Canada or the U.S. in the past 3-4 years, but it never actually happened. So we were just preparing to this game, we have a chance, obviously, to beat them again. But I guess when we scored the first goal of the game, we started actually believing it that this might happen. We just have to keep it tight and play well defensively. And it was pretty intense in the third period, and I think everyone was in the flow state and just kept going and fighting for the victory.
That's amazing. Do you guys have there must be some kind of a team culture that builds up during such a tough challenge? So are there something some special things that you share with the team right before a match, or are these your professional secrets?
No, they are secrets. Actually, this year's World Championship we had this slogan called "Rahantaki" in Finnish, which is
I noticed that
for the money, and it was actually a joke that came from the U.S. women's hockey team when they got a contract with the USA Hockey, that they actually get money from playing, and they get a lot of money.
Right.
And us hockey players in Finland, we don't get almost anything. We have to work full time or part time to get some kind of living. And we were what would it feel like for the U.S. players to lose to poor people? So that was our slogan.
Self-sufficient. I like self-sufficient more.
Yes. So that was our slogan. It brought us together every game day, even off days, and I think it was great.
I think that's a lot of fun, and also I think in many ways I think that's some kind of a bond that you can pretty much even turn to work in favor of your team. I mean, I can certainly see you guys as having this inside power that you're kind of drawing from when you're going to meet those tough competitors and eventually beating them. I think that's. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I think everyone will remember this tournament, obviously, but also the song from Antti Tuisku and everything. So, I think that was one of the reasons that we were so close together as a team and played so well in this tournament.
How has it looked like if you look at the past 12 months leading to this tournament? What kind of a 12-month period has it been for you professionally?
It's been different than before, I think, for me, because I moved to Sweden to play semi-professionally, and I got some money from just playing ice hockey, which was great, and I've never had this opportunity before. And it was definitely more professional, and I was more focused on like how I can perform better, and I felt like there were many other players on my national team that also went to play in Sweden to become more professional, and we all found this mindset that how can I be better so that my team can be better. So yeah, it was a great 12 months, and looking forward to the next 12 months.
What did it look like when you were or when the team was selected, when you were like really building your team? What did it look like from the viewpoint of for example, like a player like yourself or your peers who had been working really hard for years and years for this type of an opportunity to join?
I think it was actually the first time that we had a very competitive team, and many players were left out that could have been in any of the roles that we had, and this was like we had 4 great offensive lines and 70 or defensemen, and usually there's like one defenseman that okay, this is not going to get so much play time, but this time it was like it can be anyone really.
Right.
And like
so
we had
that
yeah,
tough.
Yeah, it was real tough, and everyone knew this is the best team we've ever had. So we knew we could do something.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And when you guys were out in the U.S., I guess you went over already several weeks before the actual games to prepare. So what took place during that time when you were preparing for this?
Yeah, we flew over to the U.S. 10 days before the first game, and first couple of days, of course, you have to think about the jet lag, what it does to your body physically, and they were kind of chill. We were just doing like easier workouts, easier ice practices, and then a week before the first game, we had an exhibition game, and that was against each other.
Right.
Because we were supposed to play against the USA women's team, but they had their, they were still talking about their contract with the USA Hockey.
Right.
So they said they would not play against any team until they actually get the contract.
I see.
So that was kind of difficult, but I think it was a great game that we got to play against the best team in Europe and each other.
Yep, best team in Europe. That's right.
Pretty much.
Only playing against the best.
Yeah, and then a couple days later we had another game against the Czech Republic, which was like we were the better team to start with, and they were great actually, and we actually like we knew we have to pick it up so that we can reach our goal. And then after that, it was just like some workouts and ice practices and a lot of meetings. So we get to know each other a little better and what we feel like we should do on the ice on power plays or penalty kills and stuff like this. And yeah, I thought it was a great preparation camp and a good tournament after that.
Awesome. What are your personal tips on maintaining your performance when you're doing transatlantic flights? You need to be on top of your game, and obviously you're doing a lot of travel. So I bet you have some secrets to share. Maybe what you do preparation wise, nutrition wise, sleep wise, with the jet lag and how to be on top of your game.
Yeah, we got some tips for that, and obviously I also played in the U.S. For 4 years before this, and I just try to get on the sleeping schedule as early as possible, even like a couple of days before the flight, so because it's a 7-hour difference or 8 or wherever you go, and try to get on that. Do not take naps. That are longer, no naps longer than 30 minutes, because that just makes it a whole lot harder. And also try to drink as much as you can. Drink water. And I like to eat before I go on the flight. Eat like nutrient-dense foods. and I don't really enjoy the food on the plane. So I try
Nobody
to skip
really
that.
does.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyone
Maybe
who
there are
does,
some
I
of
get.
those twisted people right there. You're
Right?
like, shame on you, shame on you.
Yeah, that's
You don't
right.
want to eat what's inside that tin-foil box that they call a meal. A sorry excuse for a meal.
Sorry. Yeah, and then maybe I'll have like my own snacks on the flight, and Ambronite probably. I did have it, and after the flight, then eat again and drink, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And once you get there, no matter how late it is, do some kind of workout, like go for a walk. There's a gym at the hotel. Do a little bit of something that you get your body moving, and then maybe you sleep better.
Yeah, there's some really good tips. I definitely use a couple of those, especially the workout before going to sleep, because for me that seems to be something that I feel that my mind and body is really craving for after a transatlantic flight or a longer leg on a plane. I think during your time in the U.S., I bet that you really found lots of different kinds of methods that you probably weren't exposed to in European hockey. But before we delve into that, I'd love to hear your kind of story, how you got excited about sports up until the point that you became a semi-pro and a professional hockey player. So what did that journey look like when like starting from the very beginning?
Yeah, I think I pretty much started playing sports ever since I knew how to walk. I had an older brother, 2 years older, and he was also very sporty, very athletic. And my mom played basketball when she was younger. My dad was a basketball referee, so it started with basketball. Let me say that.
All right.
And yeah, ever since I don't know, I knew how to run or hold a stick. We were playing floorball on the street outside our home with the boys in my neighborhood, and my brother joined ice hockey practices, and then a couple years later I was there also. But I didn't like just playing with boys because it was only boys hockey, and then I think I was the only girl there as a 5-year-old. So I started playing basketball also and soccer, and then I started playing ringette, which is another sport played on the ice. And that was like kind of my first or main sport until I was 12 or 13. And that's when I picked up hockey. So I was 13 when I started playing hockey again. And after, or like in 6 months, I just quit all the other sports. And I knew hockey was the thing that I wanted to do, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you could say that was there some kind of a realization on when you just did make the decision to commit to hockey and give your full attention to that? Was there some kind of snap realization, or how did that build up?
I think it was like just the first couple of practices that the puck felt so good on my stick, and I always loved skating, and I loved the part that there was a team around me, and I just felt like, like this is something I can actually become good at, and if I just train enough, and I don't know, I just love something about it.
That's amazing. So how did that progress after that decision?
Then probably a year later, when I made that decision, a year later, I read about a Finnish female ice hockey player who went to the university in the U.S. I read it on the newspaper, and I was like, Mom, I want to do that. Like, I want to go to university. And my mom is like, I don't know if that's possible. Like, that's a lot of money. And, like, obviously she didn't tell me that. She was just supporting my dream.
Sure.
But she thought it was just a dream, And I don't know. I just knew from that day I wanted to play in the U.S. in a university, no matter what high school I'm going to or something. I just knew I was going to be there. And then it became the time that I was in high school, and I played in the under-18 World Championships, and this coach contacted me, and that was the same school that this female player that I read about
All right.
that she went to. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. And that was the same coach. And then I heard that they'd been talking before that World Championships. But I was like, okay, like, I'm sold. Like, I went for the visit and signed my contract there. And yeah.
Amazing.
2009, I started playing in the university in Ohio State. So that was a great experience and dream come true.
Fantastic. It's amazing how that kind of, you know, like took the steps forward and eventually it just, you know, like came true. Like
yeah,
that's how it went. But to say that would be an understatement and would definitely not honor the hard work that you did to make it to that stage. Now, what do you think were kind of some of your secret weapons or like mental weapons and where did the motivation come from and at this stage? Because before that you didn't really, or I guess, or were you just determined that you're going to make it, or did you just have this clear path forward in your mind, or how did that go?
I guess I didn't have any doubts about it. Like, I just read, okay, that's possible. Okay, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. Why not? And I had no idea if I was a good player back then, or like if I even had any gift to, if I was a talented player or anything. I just, you know, I had no doubts I wouldn't make it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that could be a very powerful secret weapon. Not just not having any doubts, and of course, you know, like having put all the hard work that you have. That's simply something that I can very well see that kind of you can see how the dots connect now, but
yes.
Back then it must have been pretty different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. When I think about it, I don't think I worked so hard because I loved everything about it. I loved going to the gym or just working on my shot because that was my free time. That's what I did. I was just playing, just having fun.
That's amazing, and also I think, or do you think that the athletes that you work with share that in common, or do you think that there are you know, like different kinds of mental models that you have, or the passion for the game, like taking different forms, or how do you look at that? Because I talk to a lot of athletes, and almost everyone explains it differently. The common thread there is, of course, you know, like that I can't not play, like that's the thing. But then again, like building up to that perfection and doing that meticulous work every day, I feel that people have very different description of that. So.
Well, I feel like as a female hockey player, when you don't get that much money from playing, you do it because you love it, or you love like the physical work, or you love your teammates being part of something. We actually have a player on the national team that's 43 years old.
All right.
And she has 3 kids and like an amazing athlete, like very good physical condition. And I think her thing is that she can't stay away from the sport. Like, it's so much fun, and she doesn't even feel like she's old because she's like 20-year-old mentally. But yeah, I feel like many of my friends that play on the national team or play on the club team, they just do it because they really like the sport. They just love. There's something about this sport that everyone just keeps playing it.
That's great. Looking into the years after the U.S. experience, you came back to Europe. What happened next?
Yeah, I came back in 2013. I got my bachelor's there, and that year was actually a year before the Olympics in Sochi. So I wanted to focus on hockey pretty much. Got a part-time job and just work out in the morning or go on the ice in the morning, then work, and then back to ice rink in the evening. And I played in my home team, Espoo Blues, which is the same team that I played on before I went to the U.S. So I had a lot of friends there, and I knew what kind of team this is. And that year in Sochi, we were like supposed to be the best team in Europe and bronze medal candidate and everything, but in the quarterfinal we lost to Sweden, which obviously felt bad, but it felt even worse when it was Sweden.
Yeah. The frenemy in hockey.
Absolutely. And so that was very, very disappointing after winning bronze in Vancouver Olympics. And well, I think after all, it was a good thing that we did not get what we wanted in Sochi, because the next year it was Worlds again, and we had a very young team, but we still won bronze. So that was, we realized we have to do something to get this medal. Like, you can't take it for granted anymore.
So some kind of hunger building up
Yes,
for that?
yes, definitely. Then 2 years after Sochi was World Championships again, and we were like really catching up to Canada and US that year. Then in the semi-final, we were very close to making it to the final against Canada, but we just lost with like one empty netter, and it was so tough. And we had to play the next game in the next day in the bronze medal game, which was against Russia, and we were mentally just not there. We like physically we had the energy to do it, but mentally we were still so sad about losing the semifinal that we ended up losing this bronze medal game in the shootout.
The mental side is just
it's tough, and it's even harder to work on your mental side compared to the physical. So that was actually a year ago, and this year, we beat Canada in the round robin. We faced them in the semifinal again. We lost again, but that was a little bit more clear loss. And Canada was like, they were pissed that they lost to us in the round robin, and they came out so hard that we realized we were not even that close. And then as a team, we just realized, we have a chance to win a medal here tomorrow, and we will not do the same mistake that we did last year. And we ended up beating Germany 8-0. So I guess we showed the world.
Amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you think about when you think about the mental side? As I just said, it can make all the difference, and it often does. How do you work on that?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. We have a physical or mental coach on the national team. We have meetings with him, individual meetings and team meetings, and we mostly work on how do we prepare to the game individually. Like what kind of mindset I need so that I can perform at my best, and I need to be like a little bit like aggressive, or like not mad, but like not like too happy like I'm now. So it's pretty hard to change my mindset to that before a game.
Do you have like any methods or like rituals that you do, or some type of for example, like a meditation or some affirmations that you use? Or
I like to think about some situations that have made me a little bit mad. Something said me something that I didn't like really, and listen to this kind of music that also gets me. They're a little bit like tougher music, I guess.
Like, do you have any like favorite songs? Like do you listen to like death metal or
no?
Or what do you listen to?
It's like mostly like rap songs, I guess, that are like a little bit mad, like Eminem or something. Those ones get me to that state pretty easily.
Music has such a big effect on me that I'm super fascinated about this, because if you think about some songs that like when you need to come out swinging it, you just listen to some like Lose Yourself by Eminem. Like that's been a big one for me. Also a couple of other songs from like the more aggressive rap side, like some Tupac songs that I used to listen at some point, like before. I think it must have been like in pretty early on, like must have been like when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old, when I was preparing for like some kind of challenge. I used to listen to all these kinds of music, so I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, music can be such a powerful thing, and just getting into that mindset.
Yeah, we have. I talked about this song by Minttu earlier,
Yeah.
Rahantaki, and we played that before every period.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, that was absolutely great. We had to listen to that song before we went.
And now that's probably forever ingrained in these great memories of your journey there.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great. Anything else you do to prepare mentally?
No, that's pretty much it for now. I would like to develop that side. I have a pretty good physical routine that I do before every game, but the mental side, of course, like I need to start working on it and keep developing it.
What does your physical routine before a game look like?
It's some running, dynamic stretches. Then I do 6 longer sprints that I want to feel relaxed, like not like full of just going,
Not like
flexing
100%.
every muscle.
But
No,
like...
no, not 100%. Just to get my heart rate up to like 170, and then walking back and doing it again. And I don't know, I feel like I'm flying after that.
Does that? I think this is super fascinating, and our listeners are always interested in asking about these things. So, would that look like a Tabata interval where you do like a 30-second sprint and like a 30-second, 20-second to 30-second cool down, or do you have like a strict regime for that? Or
no, I just like this distance. That's probably like 100 meters or something like this. And then I walk back, which is obviously a lot longer. My heart rate goes down to 110, 120, and then just building up again. And it's not like I go full out or anything. It's just like to get how my legs feel today. Do I need to go faster? Do I need to go slower? Do I need to skip one of them or do more? So it's more, I need this same feeling in my legs every time before a game.
Yeah, so that's kind of even like a calibration that you do to kind of get that same feeling before a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. What else?
Then I like to do a small ab workout, so that I feel like my core is supporting and tight and preparing for the tougher parts of the game. Yeah.
All right. And when you're traveling, you just you basically hit the gym in the hotel. Obviously, have your routine set up and wherever you're playing and wherever you're living. But is there some particular gear that you like to travel with for these situations, for preparation or recovery?
I like to bring compression pants with me. Just whenever, if I need to wear them, I feel like my legs are getting swollen or something. I like to put them on and just feel a bit better in my legs. Then I like the bands, resistant bands, so I can get my glutes activated a little bit better. And but that's pretty much the equipment that I really need.
And then, of course, the headphones for the
yes.
That's a given. That's a given. When you look at the change in hockey, when you look at, for example, the gear and the all the different elements that nowadays, obviously, we've had the mental side well taken care of, or at least addressed in some form or shape in professional hockey for the last couple of decades. But how does that look like from your perspective, the evolution of the sport? It's not only about the training and the nutrition is becoming more and more customized. How do you look at that?
Yeah, I think especially women's hockey is such a young sport. There has been many changes. Even from 10 years ago, my teammates would go smoke in the intermission and come back and go play. So that has changed.
Wow,
a lot. Yeah, and we do more high intensity interval training. I feel more than some players obviously still do strength, like a lot of strength programs, but for me it's more controlling my body and being able to do balance stuff and high intensity intervals. So that has changed for me in the past 4 years, my off-ice training.
What do the intervals look like when you're doing the HIIT training? Because there's a ton of really interesting evidence on the long-term gains and effects of HIT or high intensity interval training from the mitochondrial effects to the enhanced performance effects in a less of a time investment. So very interested in hearing about your routines and tactics there.
Yeah, we train with our national team's physical therapist. He does our morning workouts here in Helsinki, and it's like a whole body workout because you need everything in ice hockey. You need your legs, your core. Obviously, core is very important, and your arms. So it's like you do with the med ball slams, you do core workout, then you do sprints, and then you do this again. You do pull-ups in the middle. You do like all this stuff, and sometimes we do it for a minute, and then we rest 30 seconds, for example, and then we go again, and that lasts 20 minutes maybe. But then sometimes, probably now in a few weeks, we'll start doing longer workouts where you have no rest. So you do 20 reps of something, then you go to the next drill and you do 20 reps of that. And so it's very different now in the early spring compared to the end of the season, because that's when you need to be sharp.
Right. So the goal there is probably to train your body to take the lactic acid buildup.
Yes. Yeah.
And later in the season, you wouldn't be doing those types of exercises.
No. We would do more speed workouts where you do maybe 6 reps at max speed, or just try to be as sharp as you can. Yeah.
When you look at your everyday life right now, it's obvious that you have definitely cracked some of the codes into building a life around the passion of hockey. How has that been when you've kind of built up your weekly routines around hockey? Because I think that's something that our listeners would be thrilled to hear, as many are looking at some type of a passion, sports balance, and looking for that balance in their everyday life.
Yeah, now that I moved back from Sweden to Finland, I'm looking for a part-time job that I could work 4, maybe 5 hours a day, and that makes it easier to have a morning workout, which can be tough, and then some rest, because obviously you need some rest after that, and then go to work for a little bit and rest again, and then be able to perform in the night too. So I'm looking for that. I have an opportunity to work with girls hockey, so that's like my first option, and I'll probably take it. I don't want to do just some kind of job in the factory or something that I don't actually enjoy, but I want to help these girls to also reach their dreams, because it was like something that I've been doing, and I'm like closer to my dream every day.
That's great. Also, I think you still have a very kind of a close connection to that type of a dream that these young players also share, and many have a good chance, or I'd say that a really good shot of following that track, because it seems to be more and more common for players from Europe to take this route and to go play on the university level, and just to generally be more open-minded about their choices, and you're a big inspiration there.
Yeah, I think I can help with my experience from playing in the US or playing in Sweden too. Just tell these girls that you have these opportunities, and if you want, you can actually do it, and just working hard and believing in your dreams. Yeah. I think I can help them.
That's super powerful. When you look at other parts of your life, rest, sleep, obviously being one big one that you just mentioned. How do you approach that? Do you have do you track your sleep somehow, or do you have some routines or tactics there?
I need like 9 hours of sleep every night, and usually sleep like 30 minutes during the day. for a nap. That's been part of me since when I was 18, probably. I just
When do you do the nap? Is that like an after lunch, or how does that
yeah,
look
it's
like?
usually after lunch if I have time. Then depending on like what time I have to go to work or what time my morning ice practice was. But I like to do that before work, sometimes even after work. So just depending on the day. Of course, I like to have all my days pretty much the same, so that I get the best result out of my nap and out of my night sleep. So we'll see what it will look like in the spring. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think this is something that many people not in the professional sphere get wrong. That so many people start with a big enthusiasm, but they neglect the rest. They neglect the recovery, and oftentimes you'll also see people prioritizing different things over sleep, not maybe realizing that changing or shifting into a tough workout regime is actually making your body crave for that sleep and crave for that rest and recovery even more and more.
Yeah, I believe. I feel like the tougher time I have at practices or workouts, like if we have a really intense period in our workouts, I need to sleep a little bit more. So I will not. I don't want to like take hours from my sleeping. I would rather than just not go shopping that day or something.
Yeah, that's definitely a long-term strategy.
Yes, exactly.
And how about food? How do you look at nutrition and food to support your performance?
I'm not like, I don't count calories or I don't count carbohydrates or anything. I feel the effects that sugar or processed foods have on my body. Like if I had something yesterday that was like very sugary or sweet or something, I feel today like I don't want to get out of bed. Like I just want to sleep all day. I feel so unenergized that every day I just want to make the best decision for me that I can do food wise. And I usually have the same breakfast because I just like oats and blueberries in it, and I feel like that gets my body going in the morning. And then I like to eat colorful stuff. So yeah, I'm not like too strict about it, but I know what effects the food has on my body.
Well, what did you have for breakfast today?
I had oats and blueberries.
Oats and blueberries. And do you also have any coffee or tea during the day or in the morning? Or?
Yeah, usually in the mornings I will have coffee. Sometimes not, just depending on what I feel like is, I don't know, if I have like this taste in my mouth that I want some coffee or not. And then during the day, usually before the afternoon workout, I have coffee.
How about supplementation? Do you look at that regime, adding supplements into your daily regime or on or off season?
I usually don't have any supplements. Just like to eat real foods, and I feel like my body gets what it needs from real foods.
I think this is also a big domain of discussion right now, also in the sports and nutritional sciences field, looking at what really enables our bodies to thrive, and more evidence is coming out that actually the forms and the compounds found in real foods have several benefits over the ones that we have managed to create in the supplement form. Not the least because we haven't really found all the compounds that our bodies really need, but food has that all figured out for us. So
yeah, exactly. And if you look at the snack bars or protein bars or something closer, you see there's actually so much sugar, so much just fat that you don't need. And having a banana or some peanut butter or something is even better. So why not just grab that?
Exactly. I'm very much a subscriber to that philosophy myself, and always exploring this domain because it's such a trendy thing though nowadays in in the twirls of the fitness industry and the fitness boom that we're currently seeing in the U.S. and in Europe, and people looking into building a fitness-oriented lifestyle or building a more healthy lifestyle, and much of them, or much of the first things that you get kind of sold or marketed into is the fact that you would need some type of supplementation in order to live life to the fullest, which obviously is I would say a gross overstatement for 95% of the people looking to get fitter and healthier.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think one of the big things that I wanted to talk to you about is just motivation and just having and fanning and cultivating that spark that you've definitely lit up as a kid and through the sports and through the journey you just shared. How do you deal with stress and the expectations that you're facing and keep that motivation going?
Yeah, that's a tough question because I never really worked on dealing with stress. I think it just kind of built up as I grew older. I got more pressure from my playing position, or like I was more relied on my team. I feel like I just grew into it, and that definitely, like, from sports, I think it's straight like connected to how I do in the workplace. If I get in a stressful situation, I like try to breathe normally and stuff like this, but I never really like thought about it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I think that it's a common topic, becoming a more and more common topic, but it hasn't been discussed on kind of a level that would have existed when for example our generation started getting into sports and getting into the field of athletics, and I've just one of the guests on the podcast has been Dr. Kate Shanahan, who's the nutritional coach and the nutritional MD, medical doctor of Kobe Bryant and the LA Lakers, and they've looked into this quite extensively. But it turns out that they're also one of the first larger sports organizations who have really identified these different cornerstones, if you will, and really taken this into account. And I feel like many athletes, and even in our day, have their own routines and own ways that they don't even necessarily know how to describe that well, but they probably do exist. So I think it's always exciting to hear about these.
Yeah, I think maybe now that you mentioned it, I feel like my pre-game routine is kind of like handling the stress. That if I do my routine well, how I usually do it, then it's taken away this pressure from my head, and yeah.
Routines are very powerful in that way. They are just super powerful in that way. I looking at your weeks ahead now. You just came back from the U.S. from the championship games, and now I guess you have a bit of time to unwind. What do you love to do apart from when you're on season and off season and training for that next big challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen my best friends or my family for the past since the fall, pretty much. Just a couple of 30 minutes here and there when I visited home. But I like to see them, have some quality time with them and my goddaughter, and then just play any sport. Actually,
play any sport. Can't take you off the field.
No. Yeah, I would like to play badminton and baseball and stuff like this that I don't usually get to play so much.
There is no stopping you when it comes to sports.
Yes.
That's amazing. Minttu, this has been a truly inspiring talk. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I wish you all the best for the next coming weeks and preparing for the next challenge.
Thank you.
And that concludes our podcast episode. Please go to ambronite.com/podcast for the show notes, some of the things we talked about, and some of the links to the some of the equipment and the teams and the people that were mentioned on the podcast. And be sure to join us next time on the Ambronite Superhero Podcast. Have a healthy week.